Good morning. Today is Wednesday, the 5th of August. So I'm back after a bit of a weekend off. Still kind of recovering a bit, but not feeling too bad. So I thought I'd get a stream out today. Just talking about the last few days or so and, what we can expect going forward. So just a quick thanks to our sponsor, TXFlow. If you would like to try them out, you will be early to any point system. So use the link in the description. And without further ado, let's get into things. So I thought today we'd start with the DVOL chart. We're back at historical cyclical lows in terms of realized volatility. So I've marked out, considered being the biggest bear on the timeline on this at this level, which I did as a bit of a joke some time ago. But we have seen this inverse relationship between realized volatility and the spot price. So I do think it's very likely that any uptick in volatility is likely to be driven by a move down. Let's not say it has to happen. It could be in the other direction. But we haven't seen a regime change in terms of the relationship between volatility and the spot price yet. So that's just something to bear in mind. We are coming into these areas where we've historically seen a big swing to the upside in terms of R vol. Okay, with that said, let's move over to BTC next. Okay, so far this week, let's come down to the 4 hour. Okay, so essentially over the past 4 weeks or so, we've printed overlapping value. So between 63k and the broader composite height of 65k, this is our new value, right? So we've just been trading in this area, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, failed break below at the start of the week, and we're now rotating to the upside towards 65k. So, we printed 4 days of value here as well, had a few attempts to break lower, which all failed. I actually took a long here on Monday. I've pretty much been asleep for the past couple of days, so I've managed to just ride this out, but it's not very exciting, and it's very choppy around this point of control. So I do think that we are still rotation to the upside towards 65k. This is where I would like to take profit on my long, provided we hold above the 4-day composite high here. So, we obviously formed value highs here, flip that, unable to break back inside. So as long as we do not accept below 63,500, my expectation is that we will continue to trade up towards at least 65k next. And I think anything above 65k is potentially interesting for shorts. We're back at that broader composite highs, R vol, down at the lows. I would expect that if we are going to get a significant move lower, that it comes from the area above 65k, right? Whether that is a rejection from the composite high itself, or perhaps we probe a bit higher into, say, the 90-day VWAP. But we are starting to see this compression now, which is likely to elicit another big directional move between 730 and 90-day VWAPs. So unless we can get a clean shift above, say, 66k, which we obviously failed to hold above on 2 occasions previously, my expectation is this whole area is likely to be significant resistance, and that we're likely to get a probe to the downside from here. So for now, we do still have broader value between 65 and 61k. That is our broader composite. Also, the past 4 weeks have been in a narrower range between 63 and 65. So any failure above 65, potentially a good area to look for a short. As I say, we could probe a bit higher. And if we find acceptance above 66, then there's a chance we trade up. So just need to see how things play out over the next few days. But for the time being, this is our value, and we should just continue to expect that we trade within that until proven otherwise. If we can get a clear shift above this and perhaps a retest, or even above 66k, then we can start talking about higher prices. Perhaps the point of control of the previous range around 69. But this will be the first time, if we can get above 66k, it will be the first time we've seen acceptance within a previous multi-month comp, this entire bear market. So if we just look back at how we traded historically, let's come to a higher time frame here. And I'll just take off some indicators actually, just to make it clearer. Okay, so what do? We traded below this value. We traded up to the POC on this occasion, but we didn't really find any acceptance in this previous value. We broke down, formed new value, traded into previous value, couldn't find acceptance in this here, traded down, And now, so far, we've been unable to accept within this previous value. So is that going to be a change, right? Or do we have another leg down to come? Until we see that change, I would treat this as resistance, right? So if we can shift above 66k, for me, that would probably be a pretty good sign that we've bottomed and that we're going to trade up. So I don't necessarily think that we are there yet, to be honest, but it's possible. We're still in the downtrending market. We still haven't seen any exceptions within previous value, constituting a bullish change. And so unless that can happen here, I think the more probable move, as I say, is to the downside. And that is pretty much it for now. If we lose this 4-day composite high at 63.5, I'll be getting out of my long and potentially looking for a short. But I'm not too bothered about trading this at the moment, to be honest. It's just not very interesting. And I think there have been better opportunities in equities, quite honestly. So I think that's about it for BTC. I don't think I have much else to say. Obviously, a few alts putting in decent moves over the past few days, most notably Pump, which I think we talked about previously. So, we obviously found resistance at this composite high, had another big sell-off into the point of control. We then flipped this 2-day composite here, nice retest here of the 7-day as well, and that's where we traded up from into this area of resistance around yearly value highs. So the question now is, are we finding exceptions within previous value? All right, which is actually a very old composite back from this time last year. So is this really a good multi-month breakout? Can we see trend continuation to the upside as we accept above this sort of 2,500 level? Or is this going to be resistance, and do we chop in a sort of low volume node for a while? I'd be open to either of those scenarios at the moment. So I do have a spot position. It's not particularly sizable by any means. I would like to see it trade up, but I am mindful that we just reject here and ultimately end up sort of chopping in this area for a while and just gradually seeing value migrate higher in some kind of fashion like this before we start to see more of a trendy move. So I'm kind of more open to this scenario than anything at the moment, but we'll see, right? There's still a possibility we accept here and then trade up to the other side of this value around 2,900. Okay, that's Pump, Hype, showing some strength off the sort of sweep of this 51 area into this imbalance. Kind of got these previous highs here as well. So yeah, decent area of support around the 51 to 52 region. We've traded up into this resistance. I think anything between sort of 58 and 60, potentially, good areas to look to de-risk at. Already here, we've come and tested this composite low, previous month value low. So, again, potentially that could be it for the lower high. So